Hi, this is Steve Gladys, and we're back at the George Mason Enterprise Center here in Fairfax, Virginia. This is Steve Gladys for Steve Gladys Leadership Partners. Today we're going to talk about the fourth and final type of writers, the NTs, what we call the strategic writers. These folks are strategic in nature. Why is that? Well, first of all, because at the end they tend to be big picture oriented. They're very visionary. These are guys that are extremely visionary. When you combine that with structured, logical thinking, you get this very structured view of the future, of what's going on now and what could go on in the future, and it bespeaks to their writing styles. They're more concerned with logically constructed, big picture arguments. And in fact, argumentation is a word you can use with them because they love to argue. It's very characteristic of the NTs. The way they come to knowledge is to argue with each other, much like lawyers do, to figure out what the jury would want, what's the final truth. Trials are about one person telling one story, another person telling another story, and the jury deciding what the true story really is. So NTs, well, what do they look like? They tend to be, as I say, higher order thinkers, more structurally oriented. They love big picture. They like structure in a piece of writing. They tend to be future oriented in their writing, and in all things that they do, really. Where do you find them? Interesting. You find them heavily in the CEO realm and senior executive positions. It doesn't mean the other folks don't show up there, because they do, especially STs. But NTs in particular show up in strategic parts of businesses. You see them as chief strategy officers. You see them as policy officers, people who do a lot of policy. You see them as lawyers, and you see them, generally speaking, in cerebral sorts of jobs. In terms of their writing, writing is highly structured, very well organized. They use outlines all the time. They love structure and organization. Again, the writing is very big picture, forward-thinking writing. It's rigorous and it's research-focused. These guys love research, and they love the findings, and they love to put those findings within a context and within an explanation, rather than give you a set of experiments after experiments. They like to fold it into a structure, an organized structure, where they give you the theme first, and then they break it down into various subsections with data underneath them. So they're very much theme first and then data. Whereas the S is like a lot of data and then a conclusion. Kind of a different approach, both getting to similar places, but NTs get you much further toward a strategic place. Again, they're always thinking, much like the NS, what's the next step? What's the next step? They're new-oriented, they're novelty-oriented. How to write for them? If you work with an NT and you have to write for an NT boss, and you're an SF or an ST, go find yourself another NT as a filter. Always make sure and no matter who you are and what kind of writer you are, make sure that you have a filter that's a person that you can send your writing through, especially when your personality is not like your boss's. Always filter through somebody who does have a similar personality. You'll save yourself an awful lot of grief doing that, because people do not think or write together in the same way. You want your writing to be organized. You want it to have a theme up front first, and then give them the data. And you want to make sure that it's creative and visionary in the way it projects forward into the future. This has been Steve Gladys with Steve Gladys Leadership Partners here at George Mason University, talking about this whole idea of WriteType. That is, personality types and writing styles. We hope you enjoyed the series. Hope you come back for the next series. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.